Ever stared at a bare bathroom with open stud walls and thought, where do I even start with the plumbing? You're not alone. Roughing in a bathroom from scratch is one of those jobs that looks overwhelming until someone walks you through it piece by piece. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to plumb an entire bathroom, drains and vents from the ground up. We'll cover every fitting, every measurement, and every code consideration, so you can do this with confidence. Plus, stick around to the end, because I've got a bonus tip about a critical venting mistake that trips up even experienced do-it-yourselfers. Let's get into it. Roughing in a bathroom is honestly one of the most satisfying plumbing projects you can tackle. Once you understand how the drain and vent system works together, it all starts to make sense. And the good news is, you don't need 20 years of experience to get this right. You just need the right measurements, the right fittings, and a clear plan. So let's start with the foundation of everything, your rough-in measurements. Before you glue a single fitting or cut a single piece of pipe, you need to know exactly where your fixtures land. These measurements are what separate a clean, professional rough-in from a headache that haunts you for years. Let's start with the toilet, because that's your biggest drain and it anchors the whole layout. For the toilet, you're going to be working with a 4-inch closet flange. The center of that flange gets roughed in 12 inches measured from the finished wall. Now here's where a lot of folks get tripped up. If you're measuring from an unfinished stud wall, you need to add your wall thickness. In most cases, that's a 1/2-inch drywall, which puts the center of your flange at 12.5 inches from the face of the stud. That 1/2 inch makes a real difference when it comes time to set the toilet, so don't skip that step. You also need clearance on both sides. Code minimum is 15 inches from the center of the flange to any adjacent wall or any other plumbing fixture. That means 15 inches to the left and 15 inches to the right. You can absolutely have more than that. And honestly, a little extra room never hurts. But you could not have less. One more thing about the flange. It sits directly on top of the finished floor. Not below it, not an inch above it. Right on top. When you're roughing in before the floor goes down, just keep that in mind so you leave enough pipe sticking up to meet your finished floor height. Now, let's move over to the lavatory. For this example, we're working with a 30-inch vanity. The drain gets centered right in the middle of that vanity, and the center of the drain sits approximately 18 inches above the finished floor. You'll rough this in with an 1.5 inch sanitary tee in the vertical position. That sanitary tee is what gives you the proper sweep for drainage while also providing your vent connection up top. For the water supply lines, those get roughed in approximately 21 inches above the finished floor, spaced about 8 inches apart. That gives you plenty of room to work underneath the sink when it's time to hook everything up. Now, when it comes time to connect the plumbing under your bathroom sink, here's what you'll need. You'll need an 1.5 inch trap adapter and an 1.5 inch plastic P-trap. Most trim trap kits come with 2 different sizes of washer. You'll use the 1.5 inch by 1.25 inch slip joint washer to connect the lavatory's 1.25 inch waste outlet down to the 1.5 inch trap. That reducing washer is doing the heavy lifting there, so make sure you've got the right one in place. I should also mention that both major plumbing codes in the U.S., the IPC and the UPC, will permit a single basin lavatory to be roughed in with 1.25 inch vent and 1.25 inch trap. However, in this example, and honestly in most jobs I do, I go all 1.5 inch. It gives you a little more flow capacity, and it's just good practice. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, you should know it's just a small sample of what I've put into my new guide, The Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It's packed with step-by-step instructions for hundreds of repairs that can save you thousands. To grab your copy, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or just use the first link in the description below. All right, let's continue. Now, let's move around to the back of the bathroom and look at how these drains actually connect together. This is where the whole picture comes into focus. The pattern we're using here is nice and simple because both the toilet and the lavatory dump their waste right into the main 3-inch drain from the vertical. The key to making this work cleanly is getting your main 3-inch horizontal drain directly under and parallel to your plumbing wall. When that main line is positioned correctly, everything else falls into place. Let's start upstream at the toilet. You've got your 4-inch closet flange on top. That flange connects to a short piece of 4-inch PVC that drops straight down into a 4x3 closet bin. Now, the closet bin fitting is 4 inches on the inlet and 3 inches on the outlet. I know what you might be thinking. Aren't you reducing the pipe size in the direction of flow? Normally, that would be a code violation. But here's the one exception. Plumbing code does not consider a 4x3 closet connection as a reduction in size. This fitting is specifically designed for this purpose, and it's a great choice under a 4-inch flange. From that closet bin, your trap arm connects right into a 3-inch sanitary tee on the main horizontal drain. Now, at that connection point, you've got a vertical to horizontal transition. There are several fitting choices you can use here, but a 3-inch combo works beautifully. You could also go with a 3-inch Y with a 45-degree elbow. Either one gives you the long sweep transition that code requires when you're going from vertical to horizontal flow. And here's something I always add at this point, a clean out. To put in a clean out, you just need 2 additional fittings, a 3-inch clean out adapter and a 3-inch clean out plug. The clean out adapter cements right into the inlet of the combo fitting and gives you a convenient access point to rod the drain if you ever get a backup down the road. Trust me, future you will be thankful you installed that clean out. It takes 2 minutes now and can save you hours of frustration later. Moving downstream from the toilet connection, you'll hit the lavatory's drain tie-in. This is another vertical to horizontal transition. So again, you need a long sweep fitting. In this case, we're using a 3x3 by 1.5 inch Y with a 45. That 1.5 inch branch accepts the lavatory drain, while the 3-inch run continues downstream. From there, that 3-inch drain keeps moving and eventually Ys right into the home's main building drain. All right, now let's talk about the part that confuses a lot of people, venting, starting with the toilet's vent. The size of this vent depends entirely on which plumbing code you're under. If you're in the IPC, a toilet's individual vent is 1.5 inches. If you're in the UPC, it's 2 inches. To connect this vent into the top of your 3-inch sanitary tee, you'll use a flush bushing. For IPC areas, that's a 3 by 1.5 inch flush bushing. For UPC areas, go with a 3 by 2 flush bushing. The flush bushing slides right in and gives you a clean reduction from the 3-inch fitting down to your vent pipe size. Now for the lavatory's vent. I've got it roughed in at 1.5 inches, although both codes will actually permit a single basin lavatory to run an 1.25 inch vent. 1.5 inches is pretty standard though, and it's what I'd recommend. Here's something really important to pay attention to. Notice how the lavatory's vent offsets horizontal well above the lavatory's flood level rim. That's not optional. That's code. The flood level rim is basically the top edge of the sink where water would spill over if it overflowed. Your horizontal vent must be above that level. You'll also want to put a slight grade on your horizontal vents. Here's why. Water vapor condenses inside vent pipes, and rainwater can also enter the top of your vent stack. A little bit of slope on those horizontal runs lets that moisture drain back down into your drainage system instead of pooling up inside the vent pipe. Now, I will mention something for my friends working under the UPC. Unlike the IPC, the UPC will let you get away with a horizontal level vent without any grade, as long as it's above the flood level rim. But even under the UPC, horizontal vents absolutely cannot have any sags or drops in them. The IPC is stricter here and specifically wants horizontal vents sloped. Know your code and follow it. To tie the lavatory's individual vent into the toilet's vent, you'll use a sanitary tee installed upside down. In the IPC, this is an 1.5 inch sanitary tee flipped upside down. In the UPC, you'd go with a 2 by 2 by 1.5 inch sanitary tee upside down. From that connection, the combined vent extends up through the roof, or in many cases, you can tee it into the home's existing venting system if one is accessible nearby. Let's talk about some common problems you might run into and how to solve them. First, if you find your toilet rocks after installation, it's almost always because the closet flange isn't sitting at the right height. If you roughed in the flange before the finished floor went down and didn't account for the floor thickness, the flange ends up sitting too low. The fix is to use a flange extension ring to bring it up to the proper height, flush with the finished floor surface. Second, if you get a slow drain on the lavatory, check that your vent is actually connected and running freely. A blocked or improperly connected vent creates negative pressure in the drain line, which slows everything down and can cause gurgling sounds. Third, a lot of folks accidentally install sanitary tees on their side for horizontal to horizontal transitions. That's a code violation. Sanitary tees are designed for vertical to horizontal connections only. If you need a horizontal to horizontal connection, use a YE with a 45 instead. Fourth, if you're getting sewer gas smell in the bathroom after everything is connected, check your P-trap. Either it wasn't installed, it's cracked, or the water seal has evaporated from a fixture that doesn't get used often. Running water for a few seconds refills the trap and solves the problem immediately. Fifth, over-tightening slip joint connections on the P-trap assembly is a really common mistake. Those plastic nuts only need to be hand-tight, plus about a quarter turn with channel locks. Any more than that and you risk cracking the nut or deforming the washer, which actually causes leaks instead of preventing them. The good news is if you follow the steps we've covered and double-check your measurements before you start gluing, you should be able to avoid most of these issues entirely. Now, for that bonus tip I promised at the beginning. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people not doing a dry fit of their entire drain and vent assembly before they glue anything. Here's what I mean. Cut all your pipe, assemble every fitting, and put the whole thing together without any cement. Check your measurements. Make sure the flange lands at 12.5 inches from the stud wall. Make sure the lavatory drain is centered in the vanity space. Verify that your vents are above the flood level rim. Once everything looks right and fits together cleanly, then mark each joint with a reference line across the fitting and pipe so you know exactly how far to push them together when you glue. Doing a full dry fit takes maybe an extra 30 minutes, but it catches mistakes before they become permanent. PVC cement sets fast, and once it's glued, you're cutting pipe to fix errors. I do a dry fit on every single rough-in, whether it's a simple half bath or a full master bathroom. It's the one habit that has saved me from more problems than any other technique I know. Before you go, I want to make sure you know about my complete guide, the ultimate plumbing playbook. It goes way deeper than we can in a single video, with 85 pages covering everything from clearing any clog to replacing your own water heater. If you want to stop wasting money on simple fixes, this book is for you. Just scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to get your copy. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.